In today's video, I'll discuss some of the rarest and most obscure Red Dead Redemption 2 facts of all time. As the video progresses, they'll only get even more obscure and interesting. Upstairs in the Aberdeen pig farm, you can discover a box of unfinished loot that for whatever reason wasn't removed by Rockstar. If you shoot this wooden plank on the floor, you'll notice the floorboard will fly off and reveal this small box. Dev cubes. Yeah, pretty interesting. If you use the eagle eye, you'll even be able to see them flashing, as if the game is telling you to pick them up. There's a secret tunnel or cave system that runs underneath Saint Denis. This tunnel would have been part of a completely cut mission that was removed from the game, which originally saw Micah and Arthur planting dynamite sticks underneath this pier.
Let's get out of here! Rise! Keep moving, Arthur!
Now, in the game's files, we can still see this mission's image from the compendium. Here is a completely unused animation of a horse urinating, because, well, horses don't actually do this in the final game. The pause menu for the Scarlet Meadows horse shop reveals that it once included a horse training ground or jumping arena, which is no longer there. It's quite hard to make out, so I'll use some upscaling software so you can see it slightly better. And it looks as though this might have been a beta horse testing area, or something where the game would let you learn the ropes of how to use horses. Originally, Red Dead Redemption 2 was going to feature a lonely giant Easter egg. However, files were slowly found related to him, and the Red Dead community set their focus on restoring the giant in his entirety. Well, after several years of digging through the game files and piecing it together, they actually did it, and the giant has been re-added to the game through mods. Almost all traces of him were deleted.
What a world. How are you today? Please, just leave me be. Wait, don't do that. I try to be nice, and this is what I get.
The island of Guarma was originally going to feature an Easter egg with a talking parrot, but luckily the audio files for the parrot talking are still found in the game.
You rotten man! You want to fool our bellies? You've done enough! Half-wit. Someone there?
There's an unfinished interior inside of the Siska Penitentiary that might hint at some point during the game's development, Rockstar planned for us to be able to go inside of here and see the interior of the prison. Now, what's really fascinating is that you can still see the untextured layout of where the staircases and cells would have been, offering us an extremely rare glimpse of how Rockstar games go about creating their worlds. Usually stuff like this is completely removed from the game. Speaking of which, there's also a cave system in New Austin that goes completely unused as well. Not to be mistaken with the mining tunnels nearby that are explorable, but this one is completely blocked off. Now, what's so cool about this place, just like the penitentiary, is that there's props all over the place that are also missing their textures, which again is a really rare glimpse of seeing a half-finished product, if you will, inside a Rockstar game, which is extremely rare. Railroad workers who are hammering in the nails will actually drive the nails into the railroad slowly, hit by hit. This is just an incredible level of detail that I wanted to throw in there. Now, when you're on the island of Guarma, there is an animal that you can discover, but technically not discover. You see, there's such thing as the green turtle in Red Dead Redemption 2, and they can be spotted just off the coast of Guarma. However, these animals are unfinished. You can study them, but no image will appear. You can go ahead and draw them in the journal, but the compendium won't be updated. Very interesting, and I love the fact that these were left in the game. And there's actually a lot more than just these green turtles that share the same fate, because in the game files we can see icons from the compendium for a tiger shark and a hammerhead shark. However, you can find the tiger shark on the island of Guarma. If you go out of bounds, you can literally get it to spawn on one of the beaches where it washes ashore, so technically you can spawn this in. If you throw a corpse into a pig pen, you'll discover that they will actually begin to eat the body.
Okay. Yum, yum, yummy.
Now, in the introduction of the game, there is a character named Davy.
Davy.
No, not that guy. Now, Davy was mortally wounded during the ferry robbery in Blackwater, and after this gunshot wound to the gut, he dies in the very first chapter of the game. Now, immediately after the first cutscene has concluded and you're given control of Arthur, you may have missed that there is a small X mark inside this building, which marks where Davy's body is laid to rest. But if you use a free cam, we can see that yes indeed, he is actually inside. Now, speaking of the introduction, while we're on the topic, the snow on the character's clothes in this cutscene actually melts over time as the cutscene goes on. When the gang first get inside of the cabin, you can see the snow fresh on their clothes, but as a few minutes pass by of them spending time in the warm indoors, you will see that the snow is starting to melt on their clothes. It seems Red Dead Redemption 2 was originally going to feature a river monster Easter egg like the Loch Ness Monster. Now, while the monster itself no longer exists, we can find the leftover audio files in the game. However, there is a collectible card that can be found in-game which depicts the sea monster beside a boat. And this model for the sea monster is believed to have been reused in the GTA Online update for Cayo Perico. Emerald Ranch features a near-finished general store right across the road from the saloon. The layout appears to be fully complete. There's shelves, but there's no items on there, and there's even a mannequin in the window. Now, unfortunately, you cannot go inside without mods, but it does make you wonder, why was this shop unfinished? If you go to the theatre, sometimes you'll encounter an act of which the man performing asks someone in the crowd to shoot at his face so he can catch the bullet in his teeth. However, there are different outcomes of this mission depending on where you shoot the guy, including if you shoot him in his meat and 2 vegetables.
Looks like you ain't so magic, huh?
You bloody idiot! I don't have teeth there! I'm not a Venus flytrap! That hurts! You absolute killer! Son of a...
The picture in the Aberdeen pig farm, the sick and twisted individuals who kidnap you have a photo on the wall of what they say is their mother. However, according to the game's files, this was originally supposed to be their grandmother. Remember Seth from Red Dead Redemption 1? Well, it turns out there's a model for Seth in the game files of Red Dead Online, which has apparently been there for several years now, going unused. There exists a living version of the dead horse model that can appear in several locations outside the map's boundaries. You can spawn it in with a trainer and ride it around, and it's pretty cool to say the least. Let's talk about a piece of cut content that I personally think is super interesting. Originally in the game, apparently you were supposed to collect 4 animal skin fragments, which could then be combined to reveal a painting depicting settlers massacring a Native American tribe for their land. The landscape depicted in the painting resembles the region of Valentine, and this is said to be connected to the Curse of Valentine mystery.
It's like the town of Valentine. I'm sure you know the place. People there are convinced they're under some curse, that their run of bad luck is punishment for something. Shared a fire out near there with an old fellow who told me he think it's the Indians. He said he'd heard years ago about an ancient Indian painting. One of them they did on animal hides that showed a massacre by the settlers. And the rumor was, it was connected with Valentine in some way. You said the paint got torn up and thrown away.
There is an inventory icon showing one of the Guarma relics, which then led me down a rabbit hole, and it turns out that you can actually spawn in a variety of relics in the game's files, which were supposed to be used when you were on Guarma Island. So it turns out that these relics would be fetched for a side character named Dr. Higgins. And the Dr. Higgins skin can still be found in the game's files too, alongside some of his voice lines. Speaking of removed collectible items, let's also talk about trinkets, because there's several trinkets which were removed from the game, which in my opinion are really interesting. The most interesting ones to me were the asteroid chunk trinket, which was obviously supposed to be given to you once you collected all the asteroid fragments. The Deputy Star trinket, which appears to be crafted from various Deputy Star badges, which might possibly indicate that these were originally going to be a type of item that you could collect after killing deputies. Then there's the Futuristic trinket, which is probably given to the player by Francis Sinclair. There's a variety of other trinkets that went unused, but those were the most interesting ones in my opinion, but feel free to pause the video to take a look at them. There's an inventory image for Knuckle Dusters, which is a completely cut weapon. If you whistle for your horse near the trumpet player in Saint Denis, he will stop playing and get extremely annoyed at you.
You jackass. This is ridiculous.
Did you know that you can make an entire species of bird go extinct by killing the only 25 remaining ones left? And this animal is the Carolina parakeet. The real Carolina parakeet went extinct around the same time. One Reddit user claims that the chance of spawning them in is aggressively low. Some people even claiming that they've played through the story to 100% multiple times through and they've never had these animals spawn in. After the player kills 15 parakeets, the text changes into the Carolina parakeet population is dwindling and is facing extinction. The population of birds will then be smaller every time you encounter them. So for example, if you kill 23 out of 25 of these parakeets, the next time you discover them, there will literally only be 2. And once you kill the very final parakeet, it will come up on screen saying that they have been completely wiped off the face of the earth. It's pretty impressive that Rockstar went through the effort to adding this. If you antagonize your friends too much, they will literally turn around and knock you out.
Little Johnny Marston.
Did you think that up all by yourself?
So very popular with the... I said stop it, Morgan.
Oh, don't start.
Ran away.
You think this is funny?
You might have seen or heard that there is a model for a Neanderthal in the game files that goes unused, and looks like possibly this was meant to be an Easter egg that we could find frozen in ice. Well, speaking of which, in this location here on the map, we can use glitches to access this seemingly inaccessible glacier cave, which could possibly have been the location we were intended to discover this Neanderthal. This area looks like it was once intended to be explorable, and there's actually many more locations just like this. Just outside of the map boundaries, we can see an avalanche that's taken place that's knocked down all of these trees. The only thing is, in order to see this, you literally have to glitch outside of the map. Which begs the question, was the game originally going to be a lot larger? There's an unreachable area far north in-game called Tempest Rim. Now this area is inaccessible in the final game, but it seems at one point it was going to be explorable, as the area even has its own name card designed for it in the heads-up display. One of the only times the game will reward you for actually committing murder is during a random event where you encounter the clan. You can eat pickled eggs out of the pickled egg jars found at various bars and saloons, like this one in Valentine. And although this fact is rather small and not very interesting, I personally was blown away by this. I had no idea they were even there. The Lanachi River flows from a giant lake or ocean, and it's visible in the game if you glitch out of bounds and looks really, really cool. A huge lake that goes unused in the game, and it's amazing what you can discover if you go slightly out of bounds in this game. If you see a bear trap on a wall and shoot it, it will actually spring closed. During the mission American Fathers, a extremely rare, unique variant of the train can spawn in, and it's said that this variant of this train can only spawn in a handful of other missions. I'm not sure exactly why this is the case, but my guess is that it's an early version of the train that they maybe forgot to swap out. There's 2 completely unused plants in the game. One is a cut herb named crow's garlic, which you can even eat or pick like the rest of the herbs. However, eating it doesn't actually give you any effect, and picking it doesn't actually give you any provisions in the satchel. Secondly is another cut herb named saltbush, and this one is pretty much the same. These can only be spawned in using a trainer, and I just thought it was quite interesting.